Yaksta, on behalf of the Sleep team, thanks for passing through.
Yeah, man.
So first, I want to start with congratulations. Your song Ambition is at 6 million or probably over at this point. These on YouTube in just 4 months.
Yeah, definitely. Respect
So
for that.
we know now, but let's take it back to the beginning. Talk to us about the journey in music.
Well, the journey is like basically like a typical story, like anybody normally saying, all I go through the struggle same way. Started doing music when I was 6. I was introduced to music by one of my cousins named Tommy. My friend named Paul and all the music normally come my house, and as a little youth, I was always a delinquent one. Always getting myself in problem, but go over there go lip sync some cartel and some other, pretending like I was them at the time, and I've such him I say, say you can do music, though. I used to do like 1 and 2 nursery rhymes them, and it's like I just felt a love for music from them time, and I started to I like continue on the journey. So throughout school I did arts and drama. High school, I started doing more writing. Was pretty much successful in that era to our peers because I was the thing at the time, doing like a badness tune and tune for the girls them. As a teenager, that was a cool thing, and did a little bit acting. After I left high school, I, went off into entrepreneurship. Stopped, went into the hotel industry, being an employee, which was not something that, was very tasteful for me, but just because a girl see me, you don't know me being mad, big her up, she there. I try to impress a woman because, I walk on the road and she work a bank, I think I look too lily, but I never realized it. Being an entrepreneur is totally different from being somebody assigned to a particular pay slip in a particular period that you're being paid, So really and truly, like a commodity is cringed and crimped to a particular biometrics or matrix that is actually imprinted from, any industry or fraternity. I know they tell them what I want to call, But I've such still, went through my period of pensive, thinking and decisions, went through stages of fiasco, or fiascos, I should say, because it was very consecutive. But in essence of that, it brought me here, it catapulted me here, being the individual who learned a lot throughout the 5 years, trying to offer the scheme of music, and when I actually least expect it, that's when everything just comes to poof. I was there one Saturday, and by the Monday, I was Yaksta everywhere and everybody's status. Still, working my way through dancehall and try cementing the name more because you don't know. Ambition is a monster, and you have monster kids around the monster. But you have to always make sure the consistency is key because that is what people use to actually, charge you and say, all right, yeah, they deserve a space in my playlist or, whatsoever. So kudos to the fans and actually giving the strength, and kudos to Sleek, gosh.
That's not your run-of-the-mill story at all, though.
Huh?
That's not your run-of-the-mill story at all. That's it has highs and lows, and you went through your journey.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of your earliest songs, Boogie Woogie, has like that authentic reggae feel, and that is also present throughout the rest of your discography.
Yeah.
So is that something that you really want to be cemented for? That you're still like a young artist, but you're also going back to the roots.
Yeah, it's like, when you look on it, all right, it's a very look at geographical location that I've traveled, look at time when me get to travel. It's like me realize that the younger generation, people like them, but they're more so far the 90s. Like, people still get past the 90s of Jamaica. Because many people think that we still walk with bad pan pan weird and donkey and go to the place and want to have big buildings. Like, people literally feel that Jamaica is just a pasture, same way, full of people who is actually on a plantation. Like, people literally think that are going to Jamaica who's not exposed to Jamaica. But the root is where it's at, because when the tower is built, looking down, there's one thing, the ground. And beneath the ground is the root. That's where the steel and plant. And if you remove that and just look on the building only, you can never know what the foundation is like. So instead of we just focus on the actual tower, we focus on the foundation. And if every one of we, stray from the creation of what Jamaica stands for, or the origin of what Jamaican music stands for, I should say, it's like the future will never know what we were before. So, even though I am from this era, we try to make a modern retrospective twist that really and truly have the essence of both, So I'm just trying to merge two eras in this 21st century, and hopefully somebody else will bring on the baton. It wouldn't be me alone because, you know, you have Chronics, them do it the same way. You have Leela Hike, Protege, them do it for them one way. And funnily, coffee is more of a newer type, but you still have the feeling. But for me, I just like the country style still, you know, the bushman thing. And that's my thing that I like when I look out country, look levity. So I try to just keep it country in every way, you know? Yeah.
While you have that, though, you still remain a versatile artist. You know, you have like your girl tune them and you could one and two.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that because you do mention merging your eras and merging your sounds. So describe how you try to bring that across.
All right. Sometimes I'll use like a dancehall drum pattern, and you know maybe like certain melodies or instruments or certain sounds or all the music like the musician in that time played certain stuff. Or sometimes what I'll do is use certain jargons or you know syllables of what was said back then in a modern way because no matter how we try, we'll never sound like the 90s, you know, but we have like similarities. So as such, with the girl tune them now, sometimes I have to young up the thing and give the young people what they want. So for me still, I may not go back to a go girl, but definitely we have same feel at the type texture, but I think the writing will be a little bit more different. Because I think for Yaksta now, it is more whole soul, you know. I was accepted in that you know, space to the mass majority. That's what they got introduced to at first, you know, and I think upon the arrival of that, I realized that I never had to do what I did then to actually be accepted. But nonetheless, still, the journey is a journey, and we experiment, and with experimentation comes mistake, or comes, you know, like past happenings, and I would not change nothing. That's why I'm not taking another bad man saying off my channel. I mean, just leave everything so you see the growth of Yaksta.
Right.
You know?
The progression.
Yeah, the progression. Yeah.
Okay. So your alias, Bushlad, talk to us about how you got that and why you have adopted that.
You know, so really actually, it is so simple, you know, it's just streamers now when I go up at the bush, go right. So sometimes we just go up there in my underpants and I sit down like, I remember look up at my chop out on a tree. And my son normally just come there and say, Daddy, why make every time you're sitting like, in the dark at night time and yeah, right. You know, say I'm bush lad though. I'm just like the name. And then, you know, upon actually just deciphering the word bush, I realized that it actually meant something that I stood for and still standing for, you know? It's like bush, it means brotherly unity, strength, and humility, you know? And the lad, you'll find out when you actually purchase the album what it means, you know? So you have to tell the people to go purchase the album, you know, when it come out and the soul will win. But yeah, so bush lad, it just means brotherly unity, strength, and humility. And the Yaksta means mental stamina. So for the Yaksta, it actually came from two words, you know, brainiac, stamina. The IAC after the word, brainiac, I flip it to YAK and add STA from stamina. And you know, we just make the conjunction there and as such, here I am, the big old black Rasta man with all everybody.
All right. So we know Ambition as, you know, your huge song. But 3 years ago you had Home, which was also equally as popular.
Yeah.
Which would you consider like your true breakthrough?
Ambition, man. Because for Home, it was merely underground. Though a lot of people know Home because they really distracted them running it at that time. But I never had the marketability that I had now. I never knew a Sleek, I never knew a Star, I never knew Observer. So all I knew was a Facebook page and shares, and I was hoping that the next song that I put out would have, you know, be granted the same amount of treatment. But such and such boy, thank you, water boy, I walk a whole him Joe. You know? It was a journey before Boogie Woogie came out and did the same thing, but not as much as Home and Facebook. But like nationwide, it was more played in parties and even to now, like on the hotel playlists and them things there, you know, and overseas and in the Bahamas and also in Barbados. To this date, you know, Boogie Woogie is one of the hotel's favorite songs. But Ambition would be the monster that really and truly brought me to the forefront of everybody, both locally and abroad. And so far, the rest of the songs, they're just growing along with Ambition, but Ambition is still the leader, you know? So even if the other songs them come more potent, Ambition is just what the people them just like get used to. Because, you know, the pandemic was here, are still here, and them just start get to go outside, you know? So it's that time again.
See what you did there. So basically, would you change anything from Home to Ambition?
No. I think the journey stands its own purpose, and as such, it paints that portrait of you with substance. It gives you that sentimental feeling or attachment when it comes down to your mishaps and to your lessons, you know? So for me, it's like I would never ever change a thing. But what I am thankful for is the accessibility of all these social media or mediums that now, that medium platforms or media platforms that we now have at our, in our reach. So we can actually capitalize on spreading to new markets, even though it is still a tussle and a task because there's 1,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 people doing the same thing. So, marketing is always key. And sometimes it takes a time, even when you have good products, because really and truly, it's catchy things that catch fast, frivolous, I should say, that, and go fast on social media right now.
Okay. So on the topic of home, the song is sort of like a love letter to Jamaica and the Jamaican experience, the down-to-earth Jamaican experience. And, that theme is also present in a lot of music. Is that something that is important to you, always remembering where you come from and telling people that?
Yeah, it's like, I have attachment with St. Mary, because, I've learned so much there, even though I've had other experiences in different parishes, of Jamaica. It's like, for me, St. Mary is what really got me grounded first, I learned a lot of more hands-on stuff or experiences there, So I think as a youth, even though the man is a kingdom, I get crowned in my own town, you have to still show gratitude to the place that you were from, even if them turn them back by in a sense. Not saying that I got turned on, which is not, but it's just that in some cases people might, don't see as the same individual because sometimes, progression and progress kind of leads to contempt when an individual don't have access to that particular thing that is winning, So as such, you have to just try your best to just always remain humble, grounded, and remember, say, boy, one day is jump off your bed and have one slippers or shoes, opposed to what you have now. Yeah.
So talk to us about some of your musical influences growing up.
So me, a man who used to listen to P. Olix one at a time, but I love Jimmy Cliff, Peter Tosh is definitely an influence. Vibes Cartel, Movado, None of my young peers, because really and truly, I don't really have like now, I can't say I have a special artist that I love now, because as long as the song is good, I listen to it. But the one them who actually inspired me before was like the Shaban and people, because it was where it started from, but Cartel and Movado kind of cemented it to us that, we do music, because, as I look at you, yes, everybody talk about them, and them seems like them was God at the time, So, you wanted that until you actually understood what it was, Yeah.
Okay. So your latest single, that time again, it speaks to, COVID finishing and the pandemic is over and outside opening up. What's the vibe that you want people to get when they listen to the song?
The same vibe that I get now, happy. Happiness is like, it spreads in the song, and it's like, the song was just like, me and Verge did it. We get a rhythm from Knox. We have vibe to it. We go in the studio. We just start record.